So welcome to this webinar, AI in hospitality. So what is the current state of AI in the hotel industry? So I'm very happy to have today with me two leaders of this industry, Christophe and Alexis. So myself, in case you don't know me, so I'm Stéphane Monsalier. I'm the CEO and founder of System in Motion. Every month we organize this type of free webinar because we want to educate the world on AI, and we want every company and every knowledge worker to understand and master AI everywhere around the world. Yeah. So first and foremost, I will ask our two guests today to introduce themselves. So, Christophe, if you want to introduce yourself to the participant.
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christophe Loras. I'm a Chief Operating Officer for Accor Hotels in Greater China. So Accor in China, we have basically today about 740 hotels. We cover all the range of the brands that Accor propose throughout the world. So it goes from the economy hotel with the Ibis brand and Mercure to the mid-scale with Novotel, and also our upscale and luxury brands. So all the brands like Pullman, Swissôtel, Sofitel, Fairmont, Raffles are part of the portfolio that we operate in Greater China, meaning in mainland China, in Hong Kong, in Macau. And so I've been in China for 25 years. I've seen quite a few things in terms of progression. Technological progression is one of them. And obviously, very happy today to be here with you, Stéphane and Alexis, to share our initiatives and our perception on how the artificial intelligence can help, or sometimes cannot help, the hotel industry to provide the best service to its clients and customers.
Thank you, Christophe. Alexis, if you can introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. I'm Alexis. I'm based at the Grand Hyatt in Hong Kong. So Christophe, we're not too far away from each other. Location-wise, I recently joined this property here in Hong Kong. It's a legendary property that has been here for 35 years, operates 12 different venues. It's a quite intense property. Before reaching here in Hong Kong, I've been traveling for the last 12 years, mainly in Middle East and Africa, before Hong Kong being based in Bangkok. Across different properties and experiences that I had, I could see the integration of AI, but probably was not even called AI, more like intelligence in booking processes, in operation matters, increasing their presence. I think that today, if we want to optimize our operations and improve our guest experience, it's definitely something that has to be introduced even further than it currently is. It's something that's quite complex. I am indeed currently working with Hyatt, but I was previously for 7 years with Kempinski, and I worked with different groups, hotel groups prior to this. So today I'm more talking from an operational standpoint and really from a brand standpoint. It's interesting to see how it further evolves. I graduated earlier this year for an MBA in hospitality, and the thesis on that, my thesis was actually on the integration of artificial intelligence in hospitality on a very specific topic, and it was related to communications. Voilà, that's what brings me here today.
Thank you, Alexis. So I'm going to assume that some people in the audience are from the hotel industry. I think some are, and they are interested. But I'm also going to assume that everybody has the experience of going to a hotel, has been at least once in a life customer of the hotel. So in that regard, I'd like to take it from the customer point of view, and I like client centricity. So let's go step by step through a customer journey from before the hotel, inside the hotel, and after the hotel. So first part, the booking. So before you go to a hotel, you have to book. I think in the past we used to call or send fax, but that has evolved quite a lot. So maybe Alexis first, how do you see AI today being utilized in the booking process for a customer?
I think that from a customer perspective, it's being introduced to improve your experience. It will make the search engines, whether it's an OTA or even from a brand perspective, will make you recommendation based on your prior researches and prior stays. So it will be much more personalized and engaged. Is it from just the selections that are being proposed, but it can as well be a matter of chatbots that can be implemented in different languages that can give you real-time information from a certain property, can be related to the weather, can be related to the different room categories, and so on. And then from a pricing model and as a pricing tool, both for the guests, but as well from a hotel operator perspective, it allows you to yield much better as per the preferences of certain guests and their geographical origin, age gap, segmentation, etc., that can influence certain price points.
Okay, so you use a TLA. Do you know what is a TLA?
You might specify it.
A TLA is a three-letter acronym, which also happens to be a three-letter acronym. So you said OTA. So for people who are not in the hospitality industry, can you spell out OTA?
Okay, but I'm sure everybody knows what an OTA is. It's basically your online tour operators.
Yeah. So it's like trip.com.
Travel agent. Yes.
Yeah, it's travel agency in general. So it's all the platforms online, offline that aggregate,
Like Expedia, Booking.com, Agoda, that many of our people that are listening today might know more classically, indeed.
Yeah. So maybe Christophe, on your side, because Accor has its own platform for booking. So as Alexis covered the OTA, can you comment on AI in the booking experience in the Accor universe?
Sure. Well, the AI, so we have to make the difference between what is actually digital and AI, because it's not quite the same thing, but the AI is mostly used first for the customer experience in terms of, for example, preparing pre-arrival questionnaire, extract data. It's very useful for all the repetitive tasks, for example. One of the potential use of the AI is with chatbot, but again, we are very cautious with that because the chatbots, even with the best AI, could sometimes not feel very personalized, and we have to be careful. So when it's about queries or usual queries or pre-room allocation, for example, this is where AI is very useful. But still, I would say in our trade, a lot of work remaining the personal contact and relationship with the customer. So using AI as more, I would say, an admin tool rather than being fully in front of the customer at the pre-arrival. So it's mostly for room allocation, pre-arrival, request. Guest history, obviously, is managed through AI right now. So everything that is repetitive, that required a lot of admin and data fill up, of course, the fact that it's now handled by AI is much easier for us.
Okay, so if I understand correctly what you said, the AI is facing your employees, but not the customer in the booking process.
Well, there is a big part of automated AI still in the booking process, obviously. But maybe we should start by that. If we talk about AI, we tend to classify the use of AI according to the type of hotel segment. So a lot of AI is going to be used in the economy and mid-scale world, whereas in the luxury world, for example, if you take our brands Fairmont and Raffles, there will be much less AI in the guest interaction and much more personalized interaction then.
So you put the bar at what, 3-star, 4-star? Where
5-star, yeah, 5-star.
At the 5-star, right? So AI below and humans above.
Well, you still need human beings.
You always need humans, right?
Even in an Ibis, you will need a lot of human. And that's a particularity of our trade, is that we will always be a people's trade, a people industry. But indeed, it is much easier for us to automatize a lot of things in an Ibis, in a 3-star hotel, the economy brand, as we call them, rather than to do this, of course, in our luxury brands.
Okay, so you still need humans, and you're a specialist in humans inside the hotel. So now we'll move from the booking. So I finished my booking, and now it's my day of arrival. So either to the Grand Hyatt or to another hotel from the Accor Galaxy. So Christophe, is there any AI? Do you foresee any AI on the arrival and the part that everybody loves so much, which is the checking?
Yeah. Well, again, I have to categorize between the
Yeah.
type of hotels. I think more and more we will see AI handling self-check-in in all economy and mid-scale brand, and I think it will become mainstream. I think a lot of those tasks will be handled by AI, facial recognition to check in, even to enter in your room. So yes, I see this a lot happening more and more in the first two tiers of hotels. For again, in the 5-star and above, I mean, upscale, luxury, and ultra luxury, it will be there at some level, but it's all about human interaction.
As you said earlier, we want to make the difference between AI and digital. So digital being what we had until 2 years ago. So the self-checking sounds to me like it will be easier for a loyal customer. Somebody who knows that person knows the place, knows where they want. They've already selected their room. They just want to go up using their smartphone and get into the room, right?
Well, yeah, but because again, in the world of the economy and mid-scale brand, it will start from the booking experience. So the booking, the room selection, the pricing, the floor, everything will be so. It's AI and mobile phone at the same time. Everything, I guess, in China, everything will be integrated in WeChat, as we know it always is, and the entire guest journey will be through that AI/mobile experience. There are actually a lot of hotels doing that already in China, and of course it is going to happen more and more.
Okay, thank you, Christophe. So Alexis, at the Grand Hyatt in Hong Kong, do you see any AI tools or foresee any AI tools at checking at arrival?
You were mentioning an interesting point about loyalty guests, and indeed, same as Accor, you have at Hyatt, you have regular travelers that are traveling the whole week, and then they go from one property to another. They don't necessarily have the requirement to go through the entire check-in process, and they would be happily, we have an app. Probably there would be an extension of the app to be able to check in, check out, have your billing, everything automated with that app. From the moment that your doorknobs are RFID provided, you can use that to open and close your doors as well. It's not something that is currently in place. That's something that could be enhanced, definitely. And as Christophe was highlighting, WeChat is also very much present here in Hong Kong. But being based in Bangkok before, it could have been done with an app like Line in the later stage as well. Definitely, this will be it's a natural progress. I mean, even in an upscale brands, from the moment that you're touching a corporate traveler, efficiency will matter. Especially during the weekdays, you don't want to be queuing when everybody arrives for a conference or a checkout. You really don't have time for it. And on another part, but that to be seen, when I'm traveling with family and you have been traveling for several hours and you're arriving with young kids at a check-in, you don't want to be queuing and having a whole explanation on your checking process. So if the local regulations permit it, I see it's also something that will be growing in other properties. Why not in resorts as well on the longer stay?
Okay, you said something interesting. Local authorities need to agree on what type of information you gather from a guest. In China, even budget hotels, they still need to scan your passport and they still need to get you to sign something, and so this one, the hotel can't really stop doing that. But for corporate, so corporate is a separate category, or loyal corporate customers you have in your CRM. Are they separated from others, or?
Well, you were highlighting passport will matter. So one, indeed, if we can scan a passport as per local authorities, and then what type of reports need to be provided on a daily basis. But as well, if you're going to a corporate customer, what type of credit card is he going to be using? Who made the booking? How is he going to guarantee his stay? If that's all information that is being saved in the app, then and it has certain credit limits, then yes, then it's possible to be doing easier for corporate guests. Yes.
Okay. So you need to gather all this data, right? So all this data must be gathered by the hotel or the hotel chain prior to that, and then you can make it. So this is very similar to retail, where I give you more data and then you give me convenience in exchange, right? That's
Correct.
kind of the deal, which also works well for CRM and loyalty at the same time, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's it. We have checked in. That's it. Now, during the stay in the hotel, are there opportunities for AI, Alexis, to enhance the experience, or going out in the city, or finding my location for dinner, or where do you see opportunities during the stay?
Well, definitely with an app, and if you have push notifications that are being allowed, you can have quite some recommendations on either restaurants within your property. But if I look at now within Hong Kong, we have 5 different hotels, the same way as you would have probably with Accor having different brands within a city. The fact that you can recommend certain restaurants or certain activities that are taking place in the properties is one thing, but you can also have partnerships. We have partnerships with a museum here in Hong Kong called M+, based on the interest that you might know from a customer. You can make him also cultural recommendations, theater tickets, malls to visit, depending on what type of interest he has, etc., etc. So the same way you would be based on your profile on the app, you also share your preferences and what you're looking for during your stay. And based on that, we can make you recommendations as per city and trip that you're going to.
So the AI could bring the personalization, because as you say, if you have many properties and many options and many kind of partnership in a city, and I'm only staying a day and a half, the AI would be able to sort it out for me and recommend the things that would be interesting for me, right?
Very simple reason. Somebody would come to Hong Kong, would be looking for a rooftop. Now here we don't have a rooftop, but the Hyatt Regency a little bit further up has a rooftop. You make that recommendation easily.
Okay.
And then you can even promote transportation on how to get there, etc., etc.
Yeah. So Christophe, where do you see the AI during the stay? Maybe in addition to what Alexis already said, do you see other use cases that
No,
could be interesting?
there are for everything that is repetitive, asking for wake-up call, ordering menus. I mean, the AI today is of course going more and more mainstream. We actually use more and more personal assistant to manage the room, so smart room control system, where you can actually control your room like you would talk to Siri on your phone or to Alexia. And by the way, there is the equivalent to Siri in the Chinese ecosystem, and many hotels are using it already. We also have, in terms of technology, we have smart building management control systems now that allow us to really modulate lighting, temperature, music according to the atmosphere, according to the weather outside. So it allows first for the customer to be more comfortable, and it helps us also actually to mitigate and to control the cost and also be careful with our carbon emissions. So that's a very, very big use of AI, and I will always come back to that. The AI for the hotel industry is much more something that we use in the back rather than in the front of the customer. Yeah, so that's and if I talk about the smart room management system, for example, through a local Siri, that's something which is more across all the brands. So you can go from really an economy hotel like an Ibis to even a Raffles. You could have the similar system that controls the room, because in both cases, that's a good investment actually.
And maybe you also have economy of scale when you purchase from one supplier for all your hotel, or the incremental cost is not that high.
We have a business model which is a bit different in the sense that we are not the owners of the hotel, so sometimes global purchasing is not always something we can do, but in some areas for technology we do have economy of scale through one supplier. Yes.
And then Alexis already touched on that topic very briefly, but since you're talking about Siri being in my room and I have to talk to Siri and she knows what music I like, how do you protect this data, this customer data?
Interesting point. No, we addressed it when we met a couple of weeks ago. I think it's something that is highly sensitive. For instance, every single provider of IT with us here has to be vetted by Chicago, which is our headquarters, and it takes quite some time. And it goes from a booking platforms, could be any simple IT provider. It has to be vetted, and security is an important point. Now, you have the research of information from outside to be able to gather our information. There are a couple of used cases over the last years where brands got hacked, and it's definitely something that we're sensitive to. And there is also probably the willingness of guests to give certain information. So they have to be really made aware, and especially Western travelers or people coming from Europe are much more sensitive to the fact that they share information. And you were highlighting comfort. Yes, but they have to be aware of the information that they're sharing. Even if they do it already with their Facebook account when they log in and log out anywhere, people don't always realize the amount of information that they're giving out. And today, hotels are very sensitive. I think that staff in general across different brands are being trained as well on handling sensitive data. It can be related to identity, but it can also be linked to credit cards. Theft is omnipresent all around. It doesn't necessarily to certain areas or regions in the world. It's actually omnipresent. So you got to be extremely cautious on dealing with that data.
One of my very good friend who is a security officer in a large company in China says it's not if you're going to be hacked, it's when you're going to be hacked. So it's also all the processes, the cybersecurity processes. So every company doing their best to make sure they protect. And as you highlighted, Alexis, preventing it from happening. But then still, as you said, some of your competitors, I guess, have had that problem, and many industry have had that problem for different reasons. Yeah. Okay, so during the stay, so I think we see it as Christophe explained at the building level, and then overall more as an integrated feature and optimization on the carbon emission, I guess, and then cost and also personalization at the customer level. So now on the post, and so before I move to the next question, participants, don't hesitate to ask your question in the chat. I still have a few questions that I want to ask to finish the customer journey. But after that, if you click on the chat, you can ask your own question, and I will moderate the Q&A at the end. So don't hesitate to ask your own question if you have a burning desire to ask a question to one or other of our guests. Yeah. So I'll keep an eye on the chat and ask all the questions at the end. Yeah. So we've covered the booking, we've covered the arrival. Now the stay is finished. I guess you briefly touched on the checkout, Alexis, but I guess it's just a mirror of the check-in in most cases, or is there anything more to the checkout than the check-in? No, symmetrical?
Well, okay. Yeah, except the billing aspect, and then the automated surveys that you can have afterwards. The check-in on itself is similar. Yes.
Okay. So then post-stay. So I guess, I don't know if clients realize that after the stay is finished, so first of all, you could be a loyal customer, you could be a corporate customer, in which case you're still in relationship with the hotel. But even if it's one stay, I think the hotel industry cares a lot about the post-stay. So Christophe, how you see how important is the post-stay, and where AI could be used in the post-stay?
It's extremely important. So we have in Accor and many brands, of course, we have a very since a long time a culture of post-stay analysis. So we are using third-party companies and systems to collect guest comments, to also gather all the comments and do an aggregation of all the comments that are on every channels and network online around the world. This is where the AI comes really handy, because it allows to extract and analyze the data in a very sharp way. And for the past 3-4 years, we have a much sharper analysis than we used to have before, which in turn produces action plans and suggestions that again help us to have a laser focus on all the areas to improve, and help us also to recover in case a customer needs to be recovered, which does not happen too often, luckily. But it's mostly, I mean, in the spirit of self-improvement, which has been invented by the Japanese so long ago with the Kaizen, but having today the AI as the main tool to analyze and prepare action plans is really one of the most exciting part, I would say, of our trade today.
So if I understand carefully, the AI allows you to get all the comments in all the languages that all the customers have been used.
Absolutely.
And make it into quantifiable data and then actionable data, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And suggestion and devising of action plan too.
All the way up to suggestion.
Yes.
Very, very interesting use case. Alexis, I guess, so you agree with Christophe that post-A is super important?
I'm used to the same tools. Indeed, both internal and external parties are providing that analytics. I mean, the semantics are very interesting because across different languages, you want to make sure that certain feedbacks across platforms are being decoded properly. And I think that that's something that has been evolving massively because let's use the word service, for instance. The service was not good. Okay, if it's a simple sentence like that. Translated in one sentence to another, it could be the hotel service, it could be food and beverage, it could be housekeeping, it could be related to different areas. And this is where semantics are becoming more and more, semantics analysis are becoming more and more smart in knowing what are the areas of improvement that you have within your properties. It's a very interesting tool. Tools we're actually having here on property, and before we all had apps as well, where you get your notifications on guest feedbacks that are just coming in. It's a very good combination of third-party platforms, but as well from your own guest satisfaction surveys that are being sent around. It's very often also a KPI that leaders on properties are being judged on because they are indicators of quality and guest satisfaction. So they are definitely very useful tools. They allow you as well to anticipate future stays of those guests because it allows you to keep traces of behaviors or comments from certain guests and to anticipate their upcoming stays. What is with you on property, but if they are loyalty guests, those comments can be posted in their profile notes so that they can be shared with other properties where they might be staying.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. So happy to hear that all of this is used in terms of improvement, Kaizen, as Christophe said, and that this is the feedback loop that gets you to get better rating on the platform eventually, and more repeat customer. So all in the name of improvement. So Christophe, you already mentioned back of the house. So you touch briefly on this one. So for me as a guest, I think that's it. I put my 5-star rating, and I will come back whenever I come back. But you touched, Christophe, on an interesting topic so you told us about the building management, and we can imagine how AI will empower you there. Are there other AI tools that happens in the back that we haven't mentioned yet that are in the back of the house? So more on the admin part, more on the operation side.
Well, we use, of course, AI a lot in the back of the house. I mean, any basic correspondence that we do now today is verified by AI, so as to improve the way we do that. We have purchasing tools that also are supported by AI. But the biggest part for me, and Alexis touched on this a little bit earlier, is the revenue management. So we are in the industry. It's easy to understand. We don't have stock, so the room that we don't sell tonight is lost forever. We don't stock it. We can't sell it tomorrow. That room that we didn't sell last night is lost forever. So a big part of our results is actually based on our capacity of forecasting. Excuse me. And to forecast properly, that's a lot of information. It's not only one stream of information. You need to have historical data, but not only, you need to know what's going on in the location where you are. Is there a special exhibition this year that did not happen the year before? What is the trend of travel currently in my country? What are the number of flights coming into the city, etc., etc. And having AI, especially to do predictive models, building on the history, adding up the local informations, and being able to have a sharper, a more accurate way of predicting and therefore forecasting, help us to price better, to allocate inventories better, and that's an application that, of course, we appreciate a lot. So AI here is very useful and very used.
So I understand two things. I understand that the level of complexity of the models now are advanced, so that humans can't really put them together anymore. And then without AI, there's no way to make those predictions. And I'm also hearing that you're looking into more yield management, maybe not as far as the airlines, but more dynamic pricing. Is that what you're looking at?
Dynamic pricing, yeah. So dynamic pricing has existed with us always. Since I mean, we started with the airline the same way. But again, in order to do dynamic pricing, you need to have the right information. So as you said, the improvement of the predictive analysis that AI brings is second to none, and is helping us way better today than it was 10 years ago, for sure.
Okay. Alexis, same application, or do you have other application that you see in AI?
No, I join what Christophe just highlighted, and one of the first one that he highlighted was stock and supply, and indeed inventory management, especially where supervising different properties is truly crucial. One of the points, and it's more and more the case in newer properties, is to be able to anticipate maintenance. If you have, for instance, aircon systems, electricity that needs to be changed, more often the heavy systems that are being set up at the building of the hotel and that you don't really think about, but that need predictive maintenance, especially in the rooms, that you always postpone eventually because you base it on occupancy, or we're always busy, or we don't have the rolling expenses, or we actually don't have the rolling expenses allocation for it, and you postpone it. However, if you do really proper predictive maintenance across your property, it allows you to much better take care of your asset. And that's definitely something that becomes more and more sensitive, has always been sensitive, but even more now in a softening economy for the owners. You got to protect the asset. And another tool, and this as well has evolved over time, you don't do staff schedule anymore in an Excel file. Especially for back of the house, you can actually optimize your resources, your human resources, in a more effective manner by indeed, and I'm going back to Christophe just highlighted, by having the right information. If you know your occupancies, your upcoming occupancies, the events that are taking place in your different restaurants and the different venues, you should be able to have much better allocations from both front and back of the house staffing. And you should be able to have that agility. And more in a time where your pool of full-time employees is actually reducing slightly, and the productivity of them is very often being challenged, you got to be able to say, like, okay, no, what are the reasons behind the strategy? And this is where proper staff scheduling based on, where AI can actually come in place to do this properly.
So you both mentioned pricing and then operation and staff allocation. Do you see AI also on the marketing side of the hotel industry, or?
Yes.
Christophe?
Yes. So on the marketing side, it's mostly on the capacity, the ability of AI to target segments of customers. This is where definitely AI is used also.
So targeted advertising on the platforms, and on the content generation, on the
content generation, we are, I guess, we're using third party most of the time. I'm pretty sure they are using AI to generate content more and more with text. I'm not sure it's recommended to do it with images, although I don't know, those things evolve a lot. But it's mostly in the content, yes.
And on the HR side, I mean, there is staff renewal in the hotel industry. So on the HR side, are you using AI as well?
I'm pretty sure our platform do use some kind of AI in order to manage database, for sure. But human resource remains also a very human-powered area of our business, I would say.
Alexis, on the HR side?
I can't speak for Hyatt as such, nor my previous brands, but where you sometimes feel when you're applying for jobs across different platforms, being brand platforms or other ways, is that indeed AI is probably used to generate CVs, both from an applicant perspective, but as well When you're looking for a certain candidate, certain tools are being used to generate, let's say, the right candidates out of the entire pool of people that apply. I'm sure that there are indeed smarter and smarter tools that are being used. Of course, the interviews have to be human-driven afterwards, but maybe in the initial selection process, AI might be used by certain parties.
So
And
it's not-
Stefan, if I
Yeah.
may, so Aline, who's in charge of compliance in Accor, has just sent a quick message to remind me that we do use AI in human resource to actually analyze the feedback from our employees. So every year we took employee engagement survey, the same way we do with our customers. And the same way that we use AI to analyze better our customers, answer their needs, and improve ourselves, we do exactly the same with our employee engagement surveys in order to analyze what they're telling us, extract all the comments because we ask them for free comments, so you can believe how many comments we receive. So how do we extract the gist of it through AI, and how do we, most importantly, devise the appropriate action plan to elevate the employee experience. So that is how we use AI, and thank you, Aline, for reminding me.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, as you said, the same way with customer feedback on online platforms, you will less likely miss a comment, and you will less likely miss an employee giving you feedback, because the AI will read everything. Where if you give it to a human, they may be very well thought out, and they want to do it, but they may miss something, and and the volume makes it more challenging. So okay, thank you, Aline, for the answer. So the chat is still for questions. You can use it for answers the way she did it, but the chat is still for question, and we welcome your question at the end of the session. So we've seen how it impacts the customer journey from the booking, from the checking the arrival, the stay, the checkout, and then you commented also a lot on the back of the house and the operation. So if we want to sum it up, where do you see the overall impact on the industry? So Alexis, if you could try to see it overall, is AI going to change completely the hotel industry, or is just like a little bit improvement here and there, but the hotel industry is still the hotel industry?
I think that we've both highlighted how important the human interactions are, and that's definitely something that remains central. At the end of the day, it remains an emotional engagement on where you're going to be staying for one night or several nights. So the future of AI in hospitality is definitely very promising. There is definitely growth, and it will probably keep revolutionizing itself in the coming years. But it's important to keep that same balance between on one side, the technological advancements, but you've got to keep that human touch and the ethical considerations to ensure that you always have a positive impact. You don't want to have that feeling that you're always being watched as well, and that the wrong recommendations are being made. So you really have to, it's a useful tool. It does not replace the humans, and definitely not in the front end side. It is a very good support tool in the back end. It's a very good support tool to make recommendations, but I don't see it replacing the person that will greet you with a natural smile when you walk into a property. I think that we're not ready yet. Well, they already have some hotels with robots, but it's not necessarily something that I see happening everywhere. Now, if you look at AI in general in hospitality, as it is for other sectors, I think that the feedback loop is truly crucial. So both feedback from the user's end, but as well from the guests, to make sure that it is being improved on a regular and constant basis. We should keep in mind as well that the integration of it is something that is quite expensive. So it's something that will go gradually.
Okay. Interesting. So you talked about robots, and usually robots and AI, we put them in the same bag. I know that in our communication, we cannot show an AI. So I use a lot robot to kind of give an image, and for many people, AI and robot go hand to hand together. But you made that very interesting distinction, and we also make that very interesting distinction between a fully automated robot on one side or a human that is using AI on the other side. We don't have to go from fully human to fully automated. to robots, you know. So I think, yeah, that's very interesting that you bring robot in here. The discussion is not about robots, but in people's mind, I think they go there very, very quickly. So Christophe, how do you see AI shaping the hotel industry at the fringe, mainly on the back, hidden behind the desk as much as possible, or more open towards the guest? Yeah.
No, in any case, it will make us better. It always does. It will be more visible, as I said, in the economy hotel. It will be less, more discreet in the luxury properties, but it will continue to grow and be more and more present and be used as a tool at many levels. And as long as the AI is used to improve people's life, people work, and guest comfort, it will always be welcome. The only things we have to be careful is not to have what I call the iPad effect. You know, when the iPad was launched, suddenly every restaurant in the world was proposing menus on the iPad, and then it was the flavor of the month, and then we had to backtrack on this because it's not because it's new that everybody has to use it in any other way. So it's all about balancing the thing, but it will only continue to grow and make us better.
Yeah, because like 10 years ago, you know, in China, we had what was called the new retail. And that's what you call actually the iPad effect, where all the retailers, they wanted to have screens like touch screens, interactive screens, 3D, holograms, all that stuff. And we had many discussions at the time with those retailers and say, this is, I mean, the visible tech, I called it the visible tech, what you call the iPad effect. And when it doesn't improve the customer experience, it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of invisible tech, so what you call the back of the house. So that's why I made the difference between visible and invisible tech. But you explained, both of you, that there is a lot of hidden tech, that's why it's behind the desk, that will improve the customer experience a lot. And this one is a better investment. Yeah. So now we can go. We have two questions from the chat, but usually when we start asking them, more are coming. So first question from Lydia. Thank you, Lydia, for your question. How AI is here to enhance the employee performance? You know, are there scenarios where you could evaluate the employee performance and the impact on the employee productivity and engagement? So let's go with productivity first, and maybe we do engagement next, because you already cover part of the engagement, Christophe. So Alexis, is there AI to assess your employees' performance, or do you see that in the future?
It's something that will be used in the future, yes, for sure. Currently, you look at, if I look just purely at a food and beverage perspective, the number of covers that you can have, preferred number of meals that are being served per table, revenue per square meter in a certain restaurants. So there are quite basic parameters. I think that productivity will extend much way beyond. I mean, if you look at rooms, yes, it's a classic parameters of how many rooms has been cleaned by a housekeeping attendant. But the performance will more and more be analyzed, and probably that AI will play a bigger role in that to analyze how they are doing on property.
Okay, and for employee engagement?
The human interaction remains very important. However, we have a tool here at on property that is quite good, where people get a questionnaire that they can fill in to measure their satisfaction, and it's being done on punctual basis within certain places or departments. Now, the way you read those reviews, even if they're completely anonymously, you got to read them as a human being. Now, to really understand, and it goes back to the semantics and the reading guest reviews, like we highlighted earlier. Can that be replaced in the later stage by AI? Yes, why not? And can it make recommendations on how you should deal with that team member or with that team? Yes, probably. Will we get to that point? Probably. But will it still be very important that the leader of a department or an outlet or a hotel is aware of what's happening on his property and that he can lead as a human other humans? Probably as well. So this is where, you will have to be very careful with the suggestions that are being done, because suggestions that are being done in a certain geographical environment, with a certain political or religious background or age of the certain people or loyalty or insanity of employees will really be different from one property to another. So it's very difficult to anticipate today tailored suggestions on how to deal with satisfaction and engagement of employees. So I think that the human face-to-face will still remain very important for the short time to come.
So you're advertising for local management to really be involved and really manage their team, and that shouldn't go away, right? That's what you're saying in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So Christophe, for you, any AI tool in first employee performance?
Yeah, no, look, Sam answered Alexi, but basically for me, so we have tools already, and we've had tools for a while, digital tools for employee engagement and appraisal. For me, AI, it's an engine. So it's like, before your engine was a Toyota, and then AI is the Lamborghini, and so you change the engine, and it's so much more powerful. So you analyze data better, you devise action plan better, but you use those data for your personal contact and engagement and management of the employees. So that doesn't change. It's just that you have such a better and more powerful tool to do that. That gives you better information and better data, so you can pinpoint and direct better. I think one of the examples we can take is, I think in the years to come, very quickly the training tools for employees will be, thanks to AI, more personalized. They will be able, again, through their mobile phone, to really devise a plan which is dedicated to the employee, taking into consideration of his or her gap in terms of knowledge, and this is where I see a lot of improvement in the work environment for our employees. That's just one example, of course.
Yeah. So I think one illustration of that is really a good use case is Khan Academy. So Khan Academy, for those who don't know, is a website that is aiming at education for free for everybody from K1 to K12. So there's a completely free version out there from Mr. Khan, who is the founder, and they came out with something they call Kamigo, which is Amigo but Kamigo, and this is an AI power one-to-one tutor. So the child who is getting there now, thanks to AI, as a one-on-one tutor. And of course, it's aiming at families and who cannot afford a one-on-one tutor because the price is too expensive. So for training, the same thing could apply in the hotel industry. And I guess you train and retrain a lot of people. That one-on-one coaching, that one-on-one tutoring can happen, but again, up to a certain point where the manager needs to be a manager, but you may not have time to go one-on-one with every single employee. Yeah. So next question, not really, I mean, a bit controversial, but I think it's an interesting one. How do you make sure that when your employees are using AI tools, how do you protect the brand and you protect your employee from mediocrity? Because AI is not always reliable, not 100%. And then for marketing, so the participant is mainly thinking about marketing and all the Instagram posts and all the LinkedIn posts looking the same. So how do you protect your employees from using AI tools and producing mediocre work? I see you smiling, Christophe.
Yeah, sure. No, I think it's funny the way the question is asked, because it says the mediocrity comes from over the use of AI. It doesn't come from there. The mediocrity is of the user. So AI produces what you ask them to produce, and if AI produces something that is not to your liking, then you have to put a new query. I mean, I think the education on query on AI is very, very important. It starts with ChatGPT. You can ask a question to ChatGPT, but if you ask it wrong, you're going to get the wrong answer. And so I guess it's the same for content, it's the case for marketing, it's the same for everything. In the end, whatever you ask AI to do, you have your own taste and opinion and experience, and you have to make sure it comes to a result that is satisfactory and speaks about the quality of your company and your brand.
Okay. So the mediocrity is not coming from the tool, is coming from the human. That's step number one.
I think you still need to manage your people. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you for plugging AI training. Don't hesitate to look at our website for the next AI training.
There you go.
Near your city. Alexis, another comment? Or
no, I fully align, and you sometimes see it. I liked what the example that they gave about coffee shops, because indeed they all have the same layouts. you have it as well when you see guest replies. If you go on different big platforms and you look at the way it's responded to guest comments, you can see that it's quite standardized, and it's just not copy paste. People will use ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever PEO, whatever there is there to just respond to guests, and it's fine. Eventually, maybe when the comment is good, when the comment is not so good, you got to be sensitive to it, and to avoid that, and I'm actually fully agree with Christophe, the mediocrity comes from the user and not necessarily from the tool itself. You got to teach the tool. You got to, well, I'm going back to the use of text. What is the core? You got to teach the model. You got to be clear to the model. Okay, what's the core message you're trying to do, to give? What's the desired action that is expected, either from you or from the guest in question? What are you trying to transpond? Do you need an emotional resonance or not, depending on how emotional? And then it needs to give the look and feel of the brand as well. How is the brand supposed to be engaged with you online? And then, yeah, how personally connected can you be? Is it by an exchange an email where you're using it, or is it on an online platform? Is it on Facebook? Is it? It all defines. I think that where you're going to be using it defines as well how much you should be using it. You got to be really, context does matter. So you got to be very cautious. And yes, it comes most times from the user that doesn't know how to use the tool than the tool itself.
But I guess that user would have crafted a poor reply anyway. So if it's the user that doesn't use the AI properly, it's probably also somebody who's not going to craft with their own words a good answer. So in the case, the use case you highlight, Alexis, is a very interesting one. I'm sure it doesn't happen very often, but maybe from time to time there's a bad review somewhere on a hotel, or a user had a bad experience, and this is the place where the rubber hit the road, right? This is the place where you have to make sure everything happens well, right? Because there are many ways to not handle it properly, and probably one or two ways to handle it well. Yeah? And you don't want to leave that to AI in any case. Right? We had another question from Gonzague in Bangkok. So is it science fiction to put camera everywhere in the hotel and see if people are happy or unhappy, or even in restaurant, in the F&B? Do you want to put camera in their face to see if they like their meal or not?
It's not science fiction. The technology exists, but there is a difference between having the technology available and implementing it. So no, we would not be doing that, even though the technology already exists. And there won't be any use in any case, because I can tell you, usually an unhappy customer will notify herself or himself and let us know he or she is not happy.
Okay, but you could know it a little bit before, no? Still not a good use case, you think?
Look, it's like everything with AI, it would be subject to interpretation. Once you have identified on video somebody not happy, then what do? You don't know why he or she is not happy. So what are you going to do? You're going to knock on his door, her door, and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, why are you not happy?" We can't do that. So it's useless anyway.
Okay. Alexis?
No, I join Christophe on that point. I mean, and then, again, different people react differently. You might not know how to read faces. The technology might be there to read your eyelids and maybe your smile, but even a nervous smile can make you look very happy, but at the same time make you very unhappy. I think let's keep the team touching the table and making sure that they to check if the guests are happy or not for the time being.
Okay, so I think we can end on that note. It's not because the technology exists that you have to use it. I think it's a very important statement, especially because, I mean, we see the new AI models coming up, and every week there's a new one, and it does more things, and it doesn't mean that we have to forget. So I thank you very much, Christophe and Alexis. I think you represented well the hotel industry, how much you care about your customer, and how much you want this to be a human experience and encompass it. AI still has a place to help the humans who make your service outstanding, being in the service industry. But you both, and I'm sure your teams and your organization want to make sure that you don't lose your soul. And again, I'm going to repeat it again, Christophe, because it's a great formula. It's not because the technology exists that you have to use it and you have to implement it. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget the company you are. Don't forget the values from your company. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and see you soon in your different hotels at different times.
Thank you very much, Stéphane, for
Thank-
giving us the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Christophe.
Stéphane.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Alexis,
Christophe.
and thank you to
Thank
all the participants. All right. Bye-bye.